Okay, just will recap what we did in the last session. What in the last session we created implementation, user, and we assigned the three roles. And from that user, we created implementation project. We created implementation project. Okay, that's all. Primarily, these are the two tasks we performed in the last session. Now we'll go to the same implementation project, whatever we created. Okay, fine. So this is a user we created. How to navigate to our implementation project? First, we have to click on username. Username or next to username, we have a drop down option. You can click on any one of them. Just click on username. It will open the panel. From that panel, you can just click on setup and maintenance. Already we discussed, we can see this setup and maintenance task in this panel if application implementation consultant role is assigned to this user. Yes, for this ERP tree user, we assigned application implementation consultant, which will provision to FSM work area, right? Functional setup manager, you can have access through application implementation consultant role. Okay, just click on setup and maintenance. Now you have to click on task list. Just click on task list. To find out existing projects in any instance, we have to click on manage implementation projects task. This we call as a task. Just click on this task. So these are the implementation projects you can see in this environment. Right, so this is a project which we created. Okay, so you can just, this is a project which we created. If you don't want to find out the project, our project from this big list, since this is a vision instance, you could see many projects when you are working for any client. We may create one project. If you are going to do the implementation for multiple country, for each country you may just create the separate project definition to manage country specific implementation related configuration part. Okay, so instead of searching for our project from this list, what we could do is we can just simply click on overview. You can click on overview. If you click on overview, system will display the project which is associated with this user. The project which we created, we assign to our current user only, right? You can see from here also, this is our project ERP tree implementation project assigned to ERP tree. Just click on overview tab. It will display only the project which is also assigned to this user. Fine, this is our project. So within this project, system created these many tasks. We selected two offerings, right? Finance and procurement. Within the finance and procurement, we have a different applications. As per FSM, we call as options. That also we discussed. So across all those applications or options, there are many setups which need to be performed. Those setups only system is listing here as a 1487. Fine. Now we can open our project. Just click on the project name. System will open this project. So this is what we created in the last session, and this is a basic project, basic information which you could see here. The basic information. So this is our project name, the project code, and the status of the project. What is the status of our project? Not started. We not yet started working on the project, and assigned to ERP tree, and start date, and we given some tentative finish date here. So this is how we given the information. Based on whatever the offerings and options we selected, system will create the task lists within this specific offering based folders. We'll go through that information. So before that, If you want to change the status of the project, say just now we created project. At the time of project creation, by default system select status as a not started. Once we start working on the project, we have to update the status as a we started working on the project. So to update any this basic information except code, okay, what we have to do is you can click on edit. Just click on edit. So here you can change the update the name, description and status. Just click on the status drop down option. Here you could see different statuses: in progress and completed. Once we done with all the setups in the system against this project, whatever we have as a scope, then you can mark the status as completed. Now we are going to work on this project. Since we are going to start working on this, you can set the status as in progress. Select status as in progress. If you want to change this project assignment, yes, you can do from here. Assign to. Okay, we just selected this user by system selected this username at the time of project creation. Later, any point of time, if you want to change the project assignment to specific resource, ideally project manager or somebody will be hitting this project, so the name you can select. Before that, you have to create that user in the system. Okay, so you can change by clicking on search. Already we have seen this option how to change the name, right? We can assign one project to one person only, and other information, start date and finish date, you may change if required. Say save and close. Now you can see the project status as in progress. Done.
If we don't change the status, is that like freezed? We cannot do anything for the tasks or something, or is that mandatory action that we do
There,
before we start doing the
there's
work?
no control with the status. Okay, the status doesn't have any control on the project, just for information. You can keep as it is in not it started. You can start working on it, and you can just complete all the setups. It won't makes any difference, just for
So
information.
it's just information for the teammates.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And again, to measure the progress of the entire project, or to measure the specific offering or option or specific task list or particular task related progress, if you want to track, you can set these statuses project level as well as respective levels, just for information. Okay,
So
so
Lakshman, if we can assign one implementation project to only one user, that means if multiple people are working on that project, they have to share the user, or how can we implement security then?
see, if project, when you talk about project, somebody will be heading the project, but within the project, the resource will be working on the specific areas. Here we can allocate them.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
yeah, fine. See, there may be project where we don't have project manager, but still just simply like just for information, since it's a mandatory, you can associate that project to any one of the person. Okay, the system process, so you no need to, the person no need to perform any additional activity. They no need to monitor as a part of system process. It's just for information, so any one of the name you can choose at the time of project definition. Ideally system will select the from which user you are creating the project, that you to that user only system assigns the project. Okay, you can change any point of time. Fine. So now just we'll look into this information. Okay, at the time of project creation, we selected financials as well as procurement offering. Within the financials, we selected all the applications, as well as within the procurement also we selected. Now to implement financials, okay. So what are the different? I mean, to implement the financials for each application, we have to perform relevant configuration. To do that configuration, system what system will do is system creates a task list, and within the task list, task list is nothing but list of tasks. So each task will represent specific setup. So those you can see by expanding this financials folder. Just click on expand. So what are the task lists and task system created that you can see here. Let me just drag little right. Better what I'll do is I'll just move this to other browser. So when you're practicing, better you can use Mozilla browser. That would be very much compatible browser for the Fusion applications. The Chrome and other browsers also it will work, but there are some cases where certain functionality doesn't work. Okay, here our username is ERP3. Just 1 second, please. How to go to project? Click on task list. Just click on manage implementation projects. If you want to see the projects which are associated with this user, click on overview. By clicking on the project name, you can open the project. Okay, now we can see two offerings which are selected at the time of project creation. Now see, any point of time you can remove the offering also from this project. For example, we want to remove this procurement from this project. Select and delete. Again, you want to add the same procurement offering into this project. Yes, any point of time we can add offering into project. Just click on add and search for procurement. Just place cursor here, it will get selected. Click on this selection and say apply. The background it added, right? Say done. So this is how you can add some additional offerings into project at any point of time. Okay, fine. Now just we'll go and expand this financials folder, and what are the task lists and task system created for respective application configuration we'll see. Here we can drag little right so that you can see the full name. So this all we call as a task lists. Okay, task lists. So if you expand this task list, if you see this expand option, okay, that you can treat as a task list. The task list may address specific application related configuration or some list of setup related tasks. Okay, here you could see the different folders as a task list. Say define expense configuration to if you want to implement the Fusion expenses. This is a folder. Within this folder again we'll have a task list under tasks, and define invoicing under payment configuration to implement payables application, and define fixed assets configuration, define receivables configuration, define revenue management, define cash management, define collections. So we have a different folders, okay, which will consist of the specific application related configuration list. And here define common financials configuration means it's related to GL. Okay, you don't find separate folder for general ledger application. So common financial configuration. So when you talk about common financial configuration, it's nothing but our ledger definition. So this is how you can find the different folders which will be created by system automatically based on the options which you select within the project creation time. So all these are the different task lists which you can see within the financials. The same way you can just collapse it. You can expand procurement. Okay, again within the procurement. So what are the different applications we have? To implement those applications, the relevant task list system created. The procurement related configuration to implement basic purchasing application, And if you are going to implement self-service procurement, this is a folder which you can use to find out all the setups. In the same way, supplier portal, sourcing application, supplier qualification, procurement contracts. Okay, so this is how system will generate the task list for each and every application. Now just we'll go and expand those task list also to see how we have that information inside. Say we have one task list called as define invoicing and payment configuration. Just expand that, and again within that we have a task lists which are grouped with the multiple tasks. So you can see define supplier configuration, define payables, define disbursements related to payments, configure payment system connectivity, define payment security, etc. These are the different configurations which need to be performed as a part of payables implementation. So just you may expand this define payables, expand it again. Okay, so again within this we have a define automated invoice processing configuration. Here this we call as a task. When you say task, if you click on the task, it will take us to relevant function page. In EBS also, if you remember, we have a submenus and functions. When you click on submenu, it will open another submenu or function, right? In the same way here, the task list can have another task list or direct task. If you talk about here, see here, define general payables options. Just expand it. Within this you can see invoice options, payment options. If you expand another task list here, you could see, so manage payment terms, okay, and payables calendar, procurement agent. These all we call as tasks, different tasks which are in specific task list. Okay, so this is how you can find out all the setups for any application. You can just expand fixed assets configuration. So within that you can see the value sets definition for the three key flex field structures which we define in FA. And here you can create three key flex fields, and the system controls, physical years, asset locations, asset calendars, period conventions. These are the setups which we do for fixed assets. So this is how you can find the information. If you click on this icon, this we call as go to task icon, it will take us to that specific page where we can do the relevant definition. Fine. So this is how system will create the task list. This is what we discussed. Okay, once you create the project, so here we have those points whatever we discussed. So once you here, this is a process we followed, right? So we enabled offerings and options. We created implementation project. At the time of implementation project creation, we selected offerings and options. We discussed as system would create task list. System creates task list. Okay, it's nothing but list of setups. The same we are going through now. Okay, so this is all we call as a task list. Fine. Now what is the next point? So once your system create the task list, we may assign, this is optional. If you want to assign this specific offering or particular option or particular task list or very specific task to specific team members, yes, we can do it. How to do it? We'll go and see. You can just collapse this, expand it. I'm just dragging little left only. Fine. Now say we want to assign the financials to specific resource. Okay, specific resource we want to assign. And before that, say we started finance configuration. Okay, if you are going to start working on the financials, so we can set the status for financials, or else let me set the status for procurement. I'm selecting procurement. For procurement I want to set the status as implementation is done, completed. So here you can select it, You can go to edit status, and if you started working on it, you can select the status as a in progress. Okay, in progress. I'll say you completed procurement configuration, you can select the status as completed. So then says save and close. Fine. Okay, that's how you can set the status. Okay, that's how you can set the status. After setting the status, you can just expand. Anybody speaking?
Yeah, Lakshman, this is Rajeshwari.
So your voice is very low. Please check audio, how you set from your side. It seems to very low
Is it
volume.
now? Is this okay now?
No, still low volume.
Oh. This is Rajeshwari, that's all I want to say.
Okay, yeah. Fine. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks. Done. So here, these are the procurement. For procurement, we set the status as completed, right? So just expand. Yeah, please.
Lakshman, I have a question. Like, what is the significance of assigning these tasks to a specific person? Because you said it's optional. So, what is the point? Like, what is it going to do?
See, you'll be able to identify total how many tasks we have. That is the first point without doing anything. And out of those tasks, which tasks are assigned to which resource, you can get that information. And even the person who is working, they can come to know, they can see within the system how many tasks are assigned, and whenever they complete the task, they'll have an option of updating the status as they not yet started, or they started working on it, or they finished. So that when you look at the entire overall project level, you'll be able to understand how much percentage of the configuration is complete in the system, or else which setups need to be performed by which team member. All this information you'll be able to see at the project level. We are going to see that. I'll take you to
Okay.
that information.
Okay.
Fine. Just expand further levels also.
Hi Lakshman, Sandeep here.
Yeah,
Good
Sandeep.
morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Uh, what is significance of these tasks and projects in comparison of Oracle apps? Means just to relate things.
See, in Oracle Labs, we don't have the concept of creating the projects in the application, right? So it's all about you may maintain that information, some third party application or some tool somewhere, or you the project manager may manage all this information in some spreadsheet or some tool, saying that these are the modules we are going to implement, these are the resources are going to work, which resource is working for what, and what is the progress of the system configuration, which modules are implemented, setups are done, and overall system configuration, how much percentage completed if required. Okay, so that information should be maintained outside of the system, right? In case of EBS, there is no some functionality which allows us to do this sort of project creation and managing all the configuration related information in one place, and updating the status and tracking the progress.
No. From EBS perspective, project is a different module. In when.
See that, I think you missed out that point which we discussed in the previous sessions. I clearly.
Sorry, yes, my first class. So.
Okay. Yeah, fine. If that is the case, see, it's a very simple. In Oracle applications projects, you can use to track your cost as a module of project costing, and project billing to bill to the customers, and project management to manage your project, where you can raise the requisitions or deliverables you can maintain and all. So that project
Yeah.
management, project suite is totally different from this project which you are creating. Here, the project which you are creating just to manage your application related setups. Okay,
Okay.
just when you say
Okay.
project, some piece of work, right? It could be related to anything. Now here the work is related to system configuration. That's all. Here you are not going to track cost, or you are not going to do billing. You are not going to define any deliverables. Okay, from that you are not going to execute anything. Just it's all about what are the applications we are going to implement, how much percentage of configurations done in the system, what the resources are working. This sort of information you can find out.
Okay.
Fine.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, done. So fine. So 1 second. Okay. So we request you not to join with your mobile numbers and all. Please use your name so that we can identify somebody joined with their mobile number. Okay. Please don't join with the numbers, mail IDs, etc. Please join with your name. Thank you. So done. Just we updated the status. Seems to in this environment, in this instance, that whatever we updated that is not reflecting. Basically, that has to come under status column. Under status column, that should system has to display. I'll show you in the other instance. Okay. So normally when you update the status, that should reflect. Just to navigate to the project directly, you can just click on implementation projects and click on overview. Open the project. So here basically this is how the status will appear here. In this instance, it's not that icons are not coming. Okay. Here basically here under status it has to display those icons. By default not started, like this it has to show. By clicking on this icon also you can change the status. You can click on that, you can set the status to in progress and say save and close. And you can click on this status.
Hello, Ashwin?
Yeah, please.
Ashwin?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, once status is complete, we can rechange the status
Sorry?
as a, for a particular thing. For procurement, I've changed the status to complete. But later on, I have to do some more changes. I can do it in the
Yeah,
complete
you
status.
can do it. You can set back to any status. See, simple point is this statuses doesn't have any functionality or controls. Just for information, you can just manage like anything. See, you can set the status to in progress, then you can set the status to completed. Finally, you may set the status to not yet started. System won't stop you. Okay. So this.
So in the completed state,
Thank you.
can we do any changes?
Yes, you can do any change. That's what I'm trying to say. So status doesn't have any control or no functionality behind it. It's just for information, labeling.
No, my question is like if at all I have to make any change to the to any of the setup, do I have to mark it back to in progress and
Hope
then?
I answered your question already. I said it will allow you.
Okay.
Okay, it will allow you because there is no meaning. The status point of just for information purpose only. No control. The status is not going to have any control on the project or offering or option or anything. Yeah. So this is how just you can just set the status. You can update the status. So irrespective of the project or offering or option or task related status, will be able to work on the project. Okay, fine. So you can expand the financials. The same status would be applicable for all because offering level we selected. Offering level we set the status as completed. That is the reason for all, since financials we marked as a completed, the same is applicable for all the task lists or options which are available within that project. If you expand any one of the task list, okay, anything, just you expand, you could see the status as completed only. Okay, so this is how just you can set that information. Now the other point is assigning, okay, specific offering to specific resource. So you can just assign the particular offering to particular resource. Already you have seen, like, you can select here and you can click on the status, you can change the status, or else select offering or click on edit status. Okay, in this way also, like, you will be able to change the status. Now you can set to not started. Change to not started. Done. Fine. So this is how you can set the status. Say one resource, one consultant is going to work on financials implementation. In that case, you can select entire financial offering and you can click on assign task. Here task is nothing but the whatever you selected, that could be offering or option or a task. The tab name they given as assign task, it's nothing but assigning that specific selected object to specific resource. Just you can click on assign tasks, select financials, click on assign task. This you can assign to specific resource who are going to work on financials for implementation. You can assign to that resource. So after clicking on this, after following this process, what process, select financials, click on assign tasks, it will open this page. Now assign these financials to users. You can assign offering to one or multiple users, but when I talk about project, okay, project you can assign to only one resource, but offering can be assigned to multiple resource. Okay, so just click on select and add. You want to assign to which resource? So any one of the user, just for our testing. Okay, say we want to assign to this user cloud1. Done. We assign them, say save and close. The same way you can assign to one more resource also. Okay, so this is just you can assign. And okay, now here if you expand, okay, just expand any one of the application, say invoicing and payables. Here you could see, so this task, all these tasks are assigned to two users. So now we assigned one user. Already for one user it's already assigned. So already these financials are assigned to cloud user. Now we assign to user called as, place cursor here, one more, cloud1. So if you want to change this, okay, say you don't want to allow two users, two resource to work on this, define automated invoice processing configuration. So if that is your requirement, so select it and again click on assign tasks. It will display, basically it has to display that usernames. Come on, somehow it is not showing. Okay, I selected what I selected different one. This is the one we have to select, right? Select this, then click on assign task. Now this task is assigned to two users, the same you could see here. Okay, you want to just limit this task assignment to one user only, so you may remove this cloud user. You can select, okay, remove it. And you are expecting this user to complete this task by which date, you can specify the due date. This also can be tracked at project level, okay, whether the tasks are completed within the due date or after due date. We will see that information also. So this is how just you have a one task called as payment terms. The payment term, because financials we assign to new user called as cloud 11, just now we did it. That is the reason the same applied for everything. So here you could see like the system is showing the two users. Here also if you want to change the assignment you can do it. Okay, that's how entire offering you can assign to specific resource. If not entire offering, specific option. Say you want to assign fusion expense as per EBS I expense. If you want to assign this to specific resource, you can select define expense configuration, nothing but fusion expense, and click on assign tasks. Okay, that you can just assign. Click on assign, and you can just assign to some users we have here. 123 fusion. Username is fusion123. Just search with the fusion. So you may want to assign to this person. This is how just you can assign specific option to particular resource, one or multiple resource. The expense only you want to assign to two resource. In that case you just click on add, and you may assign to this resource also. Okay, this is how you can assign any point of time. You can remove, say save and close. Okay, these and all for just information only. Frankly speaking, when you do the projects we don't do all those things. So we'll be knowing what is the team and how many resources are there, who is responsible for which module. Straight away we'll start working on the project. We don't focus on setting the statuses, updating assignments, etc. Okay, but we have as a part of this FSM project creation, setting the status and all. Project creation is mandatory. Rest what we are discussing, the changing the statuses and assigning the offering or option to resource, and again changing the status based on the work completion or what you are doing in progress or completed, etc. All are not mandatory. Most of the projects we don't do it also. So if you want to just do it,
View reports is just to view the status.
sorry.
Another way to view the status. The view reports. You see
Yeah,
the view
report.
reports on
Yeah,
the right.
through report what you could do is, so this specific one, okay, specific invoicing or expense reports. So this consists of what you can see. Okay, you can see this expense configuration, this module related all the what are the tasks we have, what is the status of those tasks, if already status is updated. If you are keep tracking the status, then the report will display what are the set of tasks we have, and again what is the progress and all information you can see here. See, setup task, listen task. That means it displays only this fusion
Got it.
expense
Yes.
related. What are the tasks we have? You can just download with any one of this format. And related enterprise applications, business objects. This information we have seen in the stage of enabling offerings and options. Right, the same information. So this specific offering level or specific option level, you'll be able to find out. So just I'm clicking on
Uh,
define expense. Yeah, please.
Hi, hi, Lakshman. Sandeep here. Here, assigning tasks signify that just to know that who is working on that task, or only those one or two guys whom we have assigned the task, that means those two guys can update, make changes.
No, the second statement is wrong. The first statement is true. So only to,
Just to
yes, you are right.
just to know that who is working on that, right?
Correct, correct. That's all. That's all. I can
Okay.
assign against your name, but I can start working on that. No control. That's what we are
Okay.
discussing. The status doesn't have any control. The assignment doesn't have any control. Okay, just for information. That is the reason generally we don't focus on that when we are working on the project. Fine.
Okay.
See, when we talk about say payables, when we are implementing the payables, in the payables there may be around say 50 setups altogether. But as a part of core setups, okay, when you talk about payables as a core setups, we may do 10 setups. Like if you take example of EBS payables, so setting up payable system setup, financial options, payable options, payment terms, distribution sets, bank branch, bank account creation, and through payment administrator like payment process profile definitions, okay, and supplier definition. Mostly these are the very key setup, and again we'll open the periods. These are very much primary setups which you have to do, but when you start counting how many different setups which can be executed in the payables, maybe 50. So these you will be doing as a primary setup. Depending on the functionalities which you'll be using, you may do additional 10 more setups or 20 more setups. Still there will be 20 setups which you may not touch in case of your client business requirement and business process. So we don't need to go and set the status for each and everything. If you are not, since you are not doing any setups for that, you cannot go and update the status as a completed. So that is the reason normally we don't go and keep changing these statuses and all. If there is some project which you are going to work where they decided to keep changing the status so that they'll keep tracking, because that's a very big project, or because of several other reasons you may come across that kind of scenario. Normally we just don't play with all these status assignments, etc. Okay, just the point here is we have to create the implementation project to start working on the project for the relevant configuration. Okay, so
Okay,
that's how.
but is is there anything? How can we track who has changed the status and who has assigned these things? Like
We
in
can,
Oracle page, we get these options.
who can, sorry.
Who has changed the status and all? From where we can track this?
So the tracking system will store in the table level, but here you cannot see everything like in
No,
EBS.
like functional user doesn't have access to backend.
Yes. See, in EBS,
Generally, we follow this.
yeah, in EBS, like in any form level, any just if you create record, you can go and see the who columns related information, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, who created, who modified, when it happened, and in which table that information will get stored, and all the tracking is possible. But here, that option we don't have. In Fusion, okay, you cannot when you create journal or invoice or payment or anything, you cannot track, but that would be stored in the backend table, so you can go on query and see. But as a user interface, they are not giving that information. Okay,
Okay.
fine. So far in the latest version 13 also we don't have that. Maybe going forward they may introduce that simple option, which will be very useful.
So,
Sorry, can you?
Lakshman, would that become a compliance issue? Like, would that be, if for compliance reason, if they want to check who deleted or updated some transaction, so would they be able to check if, like, for auditing or
Yes.
since we don't have access to the back end, so how
We
can we check
have
in that
access.
situation?
See, the point is we have access. We never discussed as we don't have access. So we have access. That for that you can go to BI catalog, and you can write a SQL query, and you can fetch the data for reporting purpose. You can take that information into specific report definition. That's how you can do. From front end you don't have that. Front end you don't have that option.
Okay.
Yep, fine. Okay, so this is what just we have to understand here. And see, here we have a something like a freeze option and all. It's all about, you can just freeze that panel, and if you click on freeze, okay, it will just create one more normally page it will open. Okay, just I selected this financials, I clicked on freeze. Now you can say detach. The same, it will create the copy. That is the meaning of freeze here. It's not like something we freeze our chart of account structure in case of EVS to restrict the changes, okay, to protect from the changes. It won't work in that way. So because I freezed and I just clicked on detach, that is the reason it is just opening the separate panel for the same information. I'm closing that. Maybe I want to keep this as is and I want to expand procurement and I want to work on that, and two, I want to keep two screens here. So in that case you can do that. Okay, you can select any one of this and you can freeze and you can detach. That's how you can do it. Okay, that's how that freeze function will work. So if you click on that, it will open one more. If you click on this detach, it will be disabled. It goes like that. Okay, so that's the meaning of freeze, and the state assignments and edit in the same way. Like specific task also you can assign to specific resource, and each and every task also you can set the status. And if you go here, say for example, define receivables configuration, define common accounts receivables configuration. Say here you have a task called as manage receivables activities. So you can set the status for that. Click on this status icon. Already different statuses we set at entire offering level. That is the reason offering and options level that got updated. You may set the status completed. So you could see accounts receivables activities definition is completed. But so as of now it may be completed. Maybe in future you may be in the need of defining few additional receivable activities. In that case system will allow you. This is just for information. The same way the specific task you can assign to specific resource. I think that already we have verified. Click on assign status. Okay, you can assign this task to specific resource just for information, so that the other people or the same person can get to know. Okay, just click on delete, and see here the permissions, no permission it was showing. I just deleted. The reason means the resource whom you are assigning, if they don't have access to FSM, they cannot have access. Okay, we given the access, but they have access to that FSM so that they can access the project, then only they'll be able to do the setups. That's how it works. You can assign this task to specific resource.
So just to confirm that point, Lakshman, so what you're saying is we can assign the task to any user, but user can only perform the task if they have the FSM
Yes, that's
responsibility. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See, I'll create XYZ user and I'll assign something to XYZ user. When XYZ user will have access to instance, okay, they require access to FSM, right? These projects and everything will be available within the FSM. If they have access to FSM, then only they will be able to do it.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep, thanks. See, the cloud INC is permitted because this user, for this user, application implementation consultant role is assigned already. That is the reason just showing as a permitted. Permissions this user has to do the receivable activity definition. This user already exists in the system. For this user already application implementation consultant role is already assigned. That is the reason it's showing in this way. And you may set due date for that. That's how you can specify.
If the due date is passed, does it matter
No.
whether we can update the status or no?
No.
Doesn't matter, right?
No, because of due dates and all, the benefit is here. I'll take you through that. So if you set that, just it won't. It will be showing like within the due date, after due date, what are the tasks are completed. I'll show you. See, this is a project Cloud INC. You can just look at our project also. Nothing wrong. So here you can see this graphical representation. So out of total tasks here we have 2,372. Okay, the project status is in progress, and out of the total tasks 40%, that means 953 tasks are completed. Okay, and 955 tasks are not started, and 20% in progress. So that you could see here. Okay, so these assignments and these all are in the past due again. Okay, so past due task, due date is past due for all these, and this none, due date is none, we didn't set any due date for that, and not yet started, and due date is none, and in progress. And here you can go to assignment status by task list. And resource assignment and everything you can see related to this project. Okay, so here based on the progress it is just showing like not started. Okay, so number of assignments here just around 800 we have, one in progress. These are related to only financials. Within the financials, so 955 tasks are not started. Within the financials, 953 are completed. Within the procurement, all are in progress. Okay, and the resource to whom this project related stuff is assigned. So 3 resource, cloud 1 cloud inc fusion 1 2 3. So again, how many tasks to this resource, how many tasks to this resource, how many tasks again, if these are just depending on this again the past due, and all these depending on the time which you assigned and whether those are performed within the time or not, you'll be able to see all this. You can go with all these filtrations. Okay, so this kind of information you can get a very high level. So because of this project,
Lakshman,
it is mandatory, otherwise you cannot complete few setups. Yeah, please.
yeah, like when you assign one task to a user, okay, and when that user logs in, he'll have access to only that particular task, or he'll have access
All.
all the tasks. Okay.
Yeah. See, that is also possible. You can just do it. You can assign, and because of assignment, it won't happen. So you can create the separate role. So you have a FSM. FSM will have access to sorry, you have application implementation consultant role. It will have access to FSM for all the like offerings and options that you may customize to have a limited access. Okay, but normally we just say that you don't find such kind of requirement. Again, it would become a big task for us to customize application implementation consultant role as per the use this consultant roles where they have to access to which area, etc. So just in, if whatever you are assigning, that user will be able to see. Ideally we assign application implementation consultant role to every consultant. They'll have a full access to entire project. Okay, and depending on what are the assignments we did, they'll start working on the application, and they may not exactly depend on the assignments. When they're part of project, they'll be very much knowing what is their responsibility, what needs to be implemented, what needs to be configured in system point. Okay.
We do have an option to create a custom responsibility or custom job, whatever we call it here.
Yeah.
To restrict access.
Responsibilities here we are calling as a roles. Yes, you can create the custom role to give the custom access. Means specific access privileges for anything which you are accessing in the system.
So in that case, if we want to only give some consultant access to only like financial setups and not the SCM setups, so we can do that, right?
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that, but it would be like I mean, you that in that is the case, like they cannot have access to the project, and you cannot track the progress. Also, in that case, what you have to do is you have to copy the seeded role called as application implementation consultant. So within that role, you can choose the area called as only finance. So the user will be able to do the setups, and that won't be part of the project. So project means there has to be created in the centralized location where everybody can start accessing that, they'll start updating the progress against that. So by creating one project with the help of application implementation consultant role and placing in that environment and giving access through customized role to that project is not possible. Okay, normal access you can give, not project based access for particular area. Okay, that's how it works. Okay, you cannot by creating the project within the project for finance, if you want to give just you cannot do that. For that you have to maintain the custom role. When you create the custom role, again the custom role will give the access to limited setup part, not to that project, so that the project level they cannot update the progress. Through custom role, if they are accessing the financials, again the financial they are accessing for which project, there won't be any mapping. When they directly access to this page only, they can see which project, so that they can enter into that project. Within the project, for a specific area of the task they can perform, they can update. Now what are the changes we are doing, how we are doing the changes, we are entering into the project. I'm clicking on this. Okay, I'm clicking on this, I'm just going and doing. That's how there should be an option to enter into the project. So once you enter the tasks which are there in the project, those are related to that project. Otherwise these all tasks will be available openly also with out of the project. That going forward we'll see that information also. Okay, so they have to do everything in the project as a part of project association only they have to do, then that would be tracked for the project. Okay.
Even if they have been assigned a role for which they have been assigned a task in project,
yes,
they still cannot access the project.
Yeah, if even they mapped with the role also, like they need access to project. That is the reason we never create such kind of separate custom roles to have access to the project, not at all required. Users definitely required consultant required privileges. See, you will just create custom role and finance guy will be working on financials. There will be some dependency setups to do that finance implementation. Again, there is another task where you have to include other you have to modify the custom role, etc. And when they are testing and if they want to do some matching, some setup need to be done. Again, there will be some dependency. So this kind of need you don't find as a part of implementation project. For business users, definitely you have to set certain restrictions and you have to allow them for a specific process or functions. For them we'll create. For consultants we'll give the access to FSM directly. Okay, so that's how it works. So fine. So these are the information just we have to understand when you talk about this project creation and all. Just we'll go back to whatever we created. Okay, fine. Now just once again let me open this project. Now see this project, just we updated status. So here, so for procurement we selected as a completed, right? So that is the reason system is showing 945 tasks are completed and 67 percentage 996 tasks are not started. You can see resource status for our project what we created. That's what in this environment it is not updating properly. So basically it has to show our resource to whom we assign. Even if you open the project also, here see status is missing. Okay, status representation is missing in this environment. Not an issue, that won't become an issue. Just we gone through that information in this different environment. Fine. Okay, so any questions related to this, please? So there are many other things which you have to understand going forward. Will just come across, but in this stage, this is information which is very much important to understand. Even it's not mandatory whatever we discussed everything. Fine. Okay, done. Now, if you want to do any setups, how to do the setups? In case of EBS, just we'll go with the navigation. That's how we'll do the setups. Here also just the same way. For example, you want to do some specific configuration, so you can just click on this finance related setup you have to do. So in case of EBS, we'll have a separate responsibilities. We'll go to the responsibility and we'll go with the navigation, or else we have a shortcut, control L. It will give the complete list of functions. You can search, and you can directly open that page. You can do the definition, or else you can select into favorites. Max 10 we can select, right? Top 10 functions you can select. That's how you may use that navigation path. Instead of going with a detailed navigation, you can select specific configuration related or process related 10 functions into that, so quickly you can navigate to that pages. But here, if you want to go with the navigation, how to do it? So expand financials, and you want to go with the specific navigation, say just, so I'm just expanding this define common financials configuration, and financial configuration, right? Okay, let me go with this one. Define common application configuration for financials. I'm just expanding this task list, and within that I want to expand this define ledgers. Expand this. Let me scroll a little down, and here say define accounting configurations, and here we have a task called as manage primary ledgers. Now if I want to create the primary ledger, simply I can click on go to task icon. It will take us to the page where we can create the primary ledger. This is the page to create the primary ledger. These are all our existing primary ledgers. Okay, you can see here all existing primary ledgers. So here if you want to create the primary ledger, click on create. Anyway, we are not going to create, just for our understanding I'm taking you to this navigation. Okay, here you can provide information, you can create. So this is how you can take the navigation. Okay, and you can just go to the specific relevant function related page, and you can do it. Instead of following this navigation, simply what we can do is, okay, here we have a task search command. Okay, here directly you can search for primary ledgers. Here every task, whatever the setup you do, that starts with a manage. Okay, every task, 99%, very few tasks, okay, doesn't start with a manage. You don't see manage as a prefix, manage term as a prefix. So 99% task starts with manage. So if you want to create the primary ledger, you have to search for manage primary ledgers. Just click on search. So it is showing manage primary ledger task. So manage primary ledger, manage primary ledger. So system is showing the path also. So this manage primary ledger task is available in the two offerings. One is procurement. From procurement you can create to manage primary ledgers, or else from finance also you can create. Okay, if you want to create from financials offering, what is a navigation? Financials, define common applications configuration for financials, define ledgers, define accounting configuration. Under define accounting configuration, you'll have a task called as manage primary ledgers. So you can just click on, so you can click on any one of the tasks. Since we are going to work on financials, always prefer to select financials only. If you select, okay, specific offering based task, there is one advantage also. We'll come to know that when we really work on that relevant
Uh,
task. Yep.
Parcel search is hello.
Sorry?
Partial search is available, like we do in EBS percent primary percentage, like
Not
that. Is
required.
it available here or not?
Not required. Percentage is not required. So without percentage,
And
the
like
function will work.
okay,
Okay. It is showing.
okay,
So percentage is not required. Without percentage, you can search.
okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
From yeah. Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So from this project, we are able to access a form in the financials module. But from this project, if we are given a particular task, will we be able to know what is the navigation from the respective application perspective?
No, I'm not clear about your question.
So from projects, when you click that task, it is directly taking you to that form. Okay, but if I want to know, okay, what is the real navigation to this form by getting into that role? Is there an option, or is there a way to knowing that?
Still, I'm not clear. Just see here, we're talking about navigation only. Say you assign to accounting calendar definition task. So it's very simple. You can just open the project and search for accounting calendar. So this is how you can find the navigation path. Or else,
Okay, what I'm asking is, when we log into, say, financials module, say general ledger module, we are logging in. If you log into general ledger module, is the the task subtask same as this given here? Like once I log into GL, then I will have a defined common applications path, and then from there I will have a defined option. Then ledger, is it the same?
So this is how, like, this is a navigation, right? There in the navigator you can see that set of financial flex field, key, segment or values, etc., right? So that is a navigation. Here also this is a navigation only. They are representing like this. So just we have seen just now, right? Before doing here, I shown the process. Expand financials, expand specific module. But in case of EBS, you don't need to, there is no option to just create one responsibility for entire financials and selecting the payables, selecting the receivables and expanding. If you want to do that, you can create the custom menu by grouping all the application menus into one menu. That is also possible. Okay, but normally for each application we'll have a separate responsibility. From that responsibility we'll take the navigation. Here also similar to that. So this is how we'll go with this.
Okay, so you're telling that if you say, for instance, if you change the role from setup and maintenance to that respective application, say GL application, then there I will be able to navigate that manage primary ledger form through the same navigation that is given here as path.
See, if you want to go to primary ledger, that you can go to from project only. If not project, within the FSM, outside of the project also you can go. But when you talk about GL, general ledger access, that's a totally different. Here the point is we have a separate roles for setups and to process. In case of EBS, if you have access to general ledger responsibility, within the navigator you can do the setups as well as you can create the journals or other transactions, right? But the current user which you are using, ERP tree, we cannot create journal, we cannot create invoice after completing the setups also. For that we have to assign the separate roles. If you assign that roles,
so basically,
please.
Yeah, so basically you're telling that if I go into the GL module, like if I change the responsibility, I go to that application. In that application, setup option will not be there like in EBS.
Yes, exactly.
Setup option is separately through the SIP.
Okay. Yeah, separate role.
That's what I was.
Yeah. Now if you see GL,
that's what I was.
That is a part of your project. As a part of project, you will find only GL related setups only. You don't find journal creation. You don't find opening the periods. Okay, only.
Yeah, got it.
Only configuration. Yes.
Means they have removed the concept of super user, kind of.
Sorry.
Means they have removed this concept of super user. Just general manager and user, those are available.
Yeah.
From a standard perspective.
Naming convention they given, but just if you want to have a naming convention stuff manager, you can copy the same role and you can name it as a supervisor. For our
no, like
naming convention.
Like in generally in super user and setup user, we used to get all the setup things available.
See, those need to be created by us only, right? In a fresh implementation, there won't be any serious responsibility like setup super user and all. That has to be created by selecting the seeded menu, which will have privileges to everything. the same way here also you can just manage that. But as a general practice, when you talk about payables or GL or receivables, what are the general roles every company will be having? Based on that information, based on that requirements, they given the different roles. Take example of payables. They given the roles like payables manager, payables supervisor, payables specialist. Okay, the guy who is working as a manager, they'll give the relevant role, they'll assign, but the role may not be enough. They may need some additional privileges. Payables manager cannot have all the privileges like payable specialist will have. So in that case, just will be including, will be customizing that, will be including the additional privileges into that. If, for example, payable specialist doesn't require so and so privilege, that will be removing through custom process. We'll copy it and we'll remove that, will assign to the user. That's how, just whatever Oracle is giving based on the very standard practice, how the companies will give the privileges to specific role of the people. What are the different roles, role of people will be working in the companies. Accordingly, they designed and they provisioned some privileges into those roles. If you take GL, they given the roles like general accountant, general accounting manager, controller, chief financial officer, okay, financial analyst. These are the roles they given. This is a very general practice where company will have these kind of roles for the areas of work which are related to GL. So that's how they're given. So if that suits our requirement, when you are implementing, we'll use it, or else we'll modify and we'll use it, or else altogether we'll create new roles. That's it. Okay.
Okay. So now what I understand is that the role, that is responsibility login in Fusion, is access only to the transactional processing, not the setup related. Okay.
No.
So
One second. The role, we have a separate roles for setup and transaction. That is a point we have to understand.
okay.
Setups one role, transactions based on transaction relevant role.
Okay.
Yeah. Fine. So any other questions from anyone, please? Here, this stage, any questions from anyone, please?
Well, Lakshman, we had some offerings and we done the configuration and we removed that offerings and added back.
Correct.
So what was the configurations will happen? So we need to do for fresh configurations or
see, it's all about just whether that offering is required in the project or not. That you can take decision. If you don't require, you can remove. But once you do the setups, that would get stored in the database. Say you selected financials offering into project and you created your calendar, chart of accounts, primary ledger, and legal entity and all you created. So after creating, you are deleting that offering from the project. You are just deleting the offering from the project. If you delete, what happens? You won't find any navigation path from the project. That's all. Whatever you created, those will go and store in the database. Those won't get disturbed. If not from this project, from other project, you can just find the navigation. Why we are going to have all these offerings and options within the project? To facilitate the consultants to have a navigation and to define it. So if you remove offering from the project, there won't be an issue for the setups which you already complete. Those will be there in the database. If not from this project, from other project, you can navigate and you can find them. So there is
added back.
I given access. One point. Let me talk about it. Say I given access to the one user to create the journal. I given the journal creation form access to one user in EBS. So user created 10 journals. I removed access. What happens? From that time, that user cannot create the journals. But journals which are created, that would be there. Those can be accessed from the particular primary ledger, from which primary ledger the user is created. The user will lose the access to that function. That's all. The same logic is applicable here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay. Fine. Now what we can do is, now just this is a navigation. This is a path. you can just go and click on that task name. Just click on the task name. Now it will display the task, manage primary ledgers. You can click on go to task icon. You can create the primary ledger. Okay, done. Now scroll little up. So from here also, if you want to see the navigation, okay, from here also you want to see the navigation. Here you have just this show hierarchy. Just click on show hierarchy. It will show us the navigation path. So to create the primary ledger, to come to this task, which navigation you have to follow if you want to go with the manual navigation path. You have to first you have to go to financials. Within the financials, you will have some task list called as define common application configuration for financials. Further, still you have to expand that. You will be finding one task list or subfolder called as define ledgers. Within the define ledgers, you will have a task list called as define accounting configurations. Under that, you can find the manage primary ledgers. Okay, this is how you can find. Just this is just for information. When we are working on the project, normally just will be knowing what setups we have to do, and definitely when we are working as consultants, we will be knowing. So what is the sequence of setups need to be completed. So that is the reason. Generally, what we do is just we'll open the project. From all the time we'll be searching from here, and we'll be doing the setups. You want to create accounting calendar, you can just search for accounting calendar. You don't need to write manage accounting calendars. So see here, for everything prefix would be manage. I didn't type manage, I didn't give any percentage. Directly you can type. In case of EBS, since there is a mostly it's a form based environment, it's as a like operator case they implemented, so that is the reason you have to give percentage and all. But here it's a matching. So this name matches the relevant results. Okay, so that's how it works. So you can search and you can go to this task called as manage accounting calendars. So if you want to go with the manual navigation path, what is the exact navigation? If you want to know, click on show hierarchy. So this is a navigation you have to follow for manual navigation. Yeah, sorry. Fine. So this is what just we have to understand. So it's already 9:30. In tomorrow session, what we'll do is we'll start with the configuration. So in the first instance, so what before we start with the actual implementation related setups, what other some dependency setups we have to complete, why we have to complete, then what would be the initial configuration in the sequence we'll be doing from tomorrow session. So any questions on today's session or previous sessions, or if you have any questions related to this course, please.